Hey guys, this is a quick video to give everybody a view of kind of what the program should do and how to operate it and how to get set up correctly. Let's start real fast by looking at your PumpTrakr field setup. First thing you do after you log in, always go choose your headquarters that you want to work on. After that, you have a list of all of your different farms. You choose one, and you choose your tract level, and then your fields, and your irrigation sections. The idea here is your farms are a group or a landlord. For me, Kenny Anderson is the landlord. All of the stuff that he owns is in track 238. Nobody on the farm really cares to see the 238, so we don't display it. The next level are all of his different farms that he has, or locations. So he's got a farm really close to our shop, just down the road. It's called Pop City. The track number for Pop City is 151. Again, no one cares. No one wants to see that on a day-to-day basis, so we don't display that. His other farm is close to Sikeston, Missouri. Its track number, no one cares to see that. So everything is set up to show Kenny Anderson, Pop City, and Kenny Anderson, Sikeston. Then we subdivide the fields into fields. So this track only has one field. It's the pivot field. And then this one pivot field only has one irrigatable section, which is just one giant center pivot. We have 0 time set on it because the center pivots are going to run as long as we want them to run. Where back here at the Pop City tract, it only has one field, and that field is divided up into 2 sections, water to the east and water to the west, and it's a 27-acre little section of that field, and it runs for about 12 hours on that pump. So anyway, that's an idea of how you should set up all of your farm tracks and fields. Once you get this part set up and done, then you're ready to move down into making your wells. Looking at the wells, after you click create a well, you should get this page in the middle. What you want to do is just give it a common name. This is what all of your guys call that well, or what you want to call it from this point forward. You click find on map, zoom in, zoom out, find where the well resides, zoom in, and drop your red pin right where the well belongs. A little tip: if you start to locate a well and you accidentally click and drop it, and then you zoom in and find your well, you can't click again and make it show up. You have to go get the red dot. Once the red dot is dropped, you have to get it and move it to its location, and then just zoom in and fine-tune exactly where you want to put that. Then fill out the rest of the form. You'll have to choose a fuel type, burn rate, which is how much fuel does it use per hour, a tank capacity, how big is the tank. A little deal here, the LPs automatically assume that 100% full is not possible with any tank. So 85% is considered 100% full. So if you have a 600-gallon tank or whatever, and you put down here 100%, it's going to back it down to 85%, because 85% is as full as you can get an LP tank. Diesels, on the other hand, their tanks, if you have a 500-gallon tank, its max capacity is 500. This number is how much water does your well put out per minute. Probably need to relabel that water output from the well, but this is how much water does your well produce per minute. And then these last two are used so that you can choose which fields does that well pump on. In this case, it pumps on craters 1 and 2, and then after you do that, you can choose which sections does it pump on. So you would need to say that on field 1 at Miss Crater's house, it pumps to the east and the west in field 2. But you could also just easily say it can also pump on field 3, and then come down here and say, but on field 3, it can only pump on this section, the east section. It can't pump on the west section. And that would be a valid setup too. And then when your users are in there setting up and they choose the field that they're irrigating, and choose craters 1, 2, or 3, they choose 3, and they would only give them this choice to irrigate. Now, an error that you can find, if you have Miss Crater's 3 chosen, and then you go down here and you kick out all of the sections on Miss Craters 3, your guys out in the field and even you using your phone won't be able to start the pump. If you choose Miss Craters 3, it won't give you any choices for a section. So it needs to be set up like this in that case. So that way, only the fields that it can actually water on and only the sections that it can actually water on are in this list. And that is how you set up a well. Make sure after you get a well configured the way you want it, you hit the update button. The changes you make won't stick until you get that green check mark. Power units, pretty simple here. All you have to do is make a list, name all of your different power units. Whatever you name them, a lot of guys go with serial numbers. This is just a named list that we've had for years and years. You can do it however you want to. You can name them whatever you want to. But I will note this. You need to remember this. Even our electric pumps have to have a power unit, and that's because we have to have somewhere to apply that burned fuel or burned electricity to. So even your electric wells that you assign as electric, I'll go up and pull one real quick. The Hatfield pivot. It's electric, has a 0 burn rate, has 0 fuel capacity, has a 0 as far as its grayed out number for fuel level. But to get it to work in the app, that has to have a power unit associated for it also. And it is there you go. The electric Hatfield pivot. And that's all it needs. So once you get a list of all of your actual fuel burning power units, don't forget to put in the names of your electric sources also. A lot of people come back and they add in a meter number here. Whatever your meter number is from your electric provider. So that way they have a meter number to tie that electrical use back to. Lastly, let's look at modules. So these are the cell devices that you get. When you get into the modules tab, you get your arrow on this page. Just choose any module over here. Don't spend a lot of time trying to find the one you're working on. Just if you're trying to move from power units and you're going to go to modules, just click the modules thing and choose any one of them. And you're there. Then you can search over here for the module that you want to use. So you can type in the last 4 or 3 numbers, 1692, and it'll filter the list down to the power unit or to the module that matches that number. Clicking on it highlights it. When it's highlighted, you'll notice that over here on the left in the middle, that number matches this number, and it'll tell you what it knows about that module. And so the last time I was in here, I told it that this module is on the number 22 P85, and it's on Holmes Farms. There's the headquarters that it's under. You can change this, hit this drop down, and you can choose a different power unit that this module belongs to. As soon as you choose that power unit, the system assumes that every message coming from that IMEI number is coming from that power unit. So this is important to have that matched up correctly. And just as important as having it matched up correctly is having this chosen correctly. Based on what you tell it here determines the kind of messages that goes to that device. So if I were to choose a push button electric and hit update, it would send the totally wrong commands to this IMEI number, and it would assume all kind of wrong things. So it's important to say, yeah, this is a P85, it is set up as a fossil fuel, and we need to set up in the app as a fossil fuel. Again, nothing changes and saves until you get the green check mark, so don't forget that. And that's it. That is it. One of the pitfalls that often happens is someone will go out to set a power unit with a field, and it won't work. You'll notice it won't work. What's wrong with it? One of the things you might want to check is make sure that that IMEI number is actually associated to the power unit you expect it to. The whole thing is relationship based. It just requires a certain amount of, you have to go in and make sure that everything is related to each other. Once you get this stuff set up once though, and you get into the app, it's very simple to operate in the app. So if there's any questions, you guys don't hesitate at all to call me. I'd be happy to help out with anything I can, and come visit you or whatever I have to do to get this fixed up and running before irrigation season. Thanks a bunch. I appreciate it.